Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome to our first class for tonight. This is our Aqidah class, and this is the most important class that I teach, as I was explaining to you guys yesterday. Because what we have to understand as Muslims is, if our belief system is not correct, none of our good deeds will be accepted. You will be no different than a person that calls himself a Christian, or a person that calls himself on any other religious belief, a Buddhist. Okay? Allah tells us in the Quran, anyone who dies upon a belief system other than Islam, it will never be accepted of them, and all their deeds will be like dust, nothing. They'll go straight to hell. So as Muslims, and I talk about this a lot during Ramadan, as Muslims, we have to really check to make sure that our aqidah, or our belief system, is correct. We can't hold ideologies within our hearts that contradict what Allah says. An example, I find it so perturbing that there are Muslims today who really don't understand that there will be no Christians in paradise. A lot of you Muslim brothers, you're marrying kafir women. I don't know why you do that anyway, but you're marrying kafir women. And then you think they're going to heaven. You think that they're believers when they don't pray the way Allah legislated. They don't dress the way Allah legislated. They don't behave the way Allah legislated. They don't even worship him the way he legislated. These women are kafirs. And that's just the reality. And I keep telling you, brothers, before you marry non-Muslim women, you need to sit down with the people of knowledge, because there are conditions to that. There are conditions to that. There are conditions to that. And a lot of you brothers who have married these women, your marriages are not valid. Your marriages are not valid because they did not meet the conditions. Does everybody understand that? And that's one of the reasons why Umar told them companions that did marry Christian women to divorce them, because a lot of those marriages didn't meet the condition. You got to be chaste, number one. You can't be no skank, having relations with people and not modest in dress and stuff. Number two, their hearts have to be inclined towards Islam. They can't be sitting there saying, I don't believe in God. Because if they don't believe in Allah, then what does that mean? They're unbelievers. Period. Dot. So you brothers need to sit down with the people of knowledge before you make these type of silly, ridiculous choices, and then you end up thinking that you are a Muslim, but you really believe in that. If that's the case, then why are any of us Muslim? If there's going to be Christians in paradise, then why did these sisters convert to Islam? I got a lot of new shahadas here who came from the Christianity belief. Why? They could have just stayed Christian and went to paradise. That's just ludicrous. So this is an example. We have to correct our belief system. We have to learn what La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah truly means and entails. Okay? That's why this class is the most important class that I teach. And by the way, I hope everybody purchases the book. Go to learnislam.com and buy the book called The 7 Pillars of Belief. The articles, and it's called the articles of belief, because I'm going to revisit this. We're going to revisit what it means to believe in Allah. We're going to break it down again. So there's no question, no doubt as to whether or not they'll be kafirs in paradise. Lord have mercy. What's the point in any of us even practicing this deen if we can just be a kafir and go to paradise? Lord have mercy. Y'all got to think. All right, so let's get started on the class for today. And by the way, I did post up the reading. You're supposed to have read from pages 339 to 342 in volume 1 of the book Diluting Wal Bara. And today's topic is very important. We've been speaking about how a lot of Muslims don't want to talk about allegiance and disassociation, because they think that to talk about it or to learn it or to teach it is a form of hatred, which shows how, again, we don't have the correct belief system. Well, today we're going to speak about how Allah and how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam command us to respond to those who oppose the true belief. For how to respond to those who oppose allegiance and disassociation. For those people that say, Wal Bara is hatred, how do we respond to them? And that's what we're going to speak about today. And again, I want everyone, because there will be a quiz, I want you guys to take out your books and read along with me when I put this PowerPoint up. And also take screenshots. Use your cell phone, your iPad, or whatever you have to screenshot each PowerPoint. So at the end of the lecture, you can print it out and staple it together as a booklet. And you can attach it to page 339 of the book. So that way, when you review again, you will have my notes, my explanation, my hadiths and PowerPoint to break it down. Okay. So let me take everything down. So I'm going to go big screen, full screen on you. Let me do this. What's this? What is that? Oh, okay. Give me a second. I got so many. Oh, whoo, that came up. All right. And this goes down, and bear with me because I'm using a different streaming program. And this program is, this platform is totally different and full screen. Oh, that's full screen. Okay. All right. Now, people on Zoom, my students, look at all this, all of y'all in here. When I post this, go over this quiz, I expect some answers from more than just Mina. Mina's always the one answering the questions, her and Geechee. I want to hear from the rest of y'all that don't. Marianne, let's hear some answers today. Okay. By the way, Assalamu alaikum, Marianne. It's good to see you. Marianne got married, y'all. She's been married about a year now. All right, I miss her. Okay, so let me, I'm putting you guys on Twitter. So here we go. This is Twitter. Oh, is that me? That's Twitter. Y'all see, Twitter looks good. It looks just like, wait a minute, here it comes. There's Twitter. Wow, looks like YouTube. Okay, so y'all go to the other screen. This screen while I transfer myself to the PowerPoint. Yeah, I'm not using the snow today. The sister said, where's the snow? It's snowing outside so bad and it's so cold. I had to leave today. I went and got my facial, and my God, my face is freezing. My face is cold. So I don't want to see no snow because it's a lot. It's snow. Okay, here we go. Inshallah. Okay, there's the PowerPoint. I'm going to take it full screen. And hold on, here we go. Switch. I'm working PowerPoint. Layla, you're getting better. Mashallah. See, I done got better. Is it there for everyone? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so everybody get out your books. Turn to page 339, because this volume 1, this is where we'll be starting and talking about avoiding those who oppose Wal Bara. And there's a bunch of people in every community. You're going to find Muslims that oppose the concept of allegiance and disassociation. These are the ones that say, oh my God, you're an extremist, you're a fanatic, you know, because you're teaching about loving for the sake of Allah, hating what Allah hates, you're a fanatic. But we're going to speak about that. So page 339, and make sure y'all take a screenshot, because this, let me move this out the way so I can see too. This is the first page when y'all go to print it out. Okay, that'll be the first page. So screenshot it with your cell phone. Now here we go. Okay. Again, loyalty or allegiance to Allah and allegiance to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a fundamental principle in Islam. There is no Islam without it. And one way of showing our allegiance to Allah and our allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is by avoiding association with individuals or groups who actively or passively oppose Islam. This is important, guys. This is important. There's a lot of famous personalities today here in America. We got some brothers who are very, very famous, brothers who were in the early 2000s. You know, they were graduates of great universities in Saudi Arabia, universities in Egypt. These brothers were all about the Sunnah. Oh my God, their lectures were dynamic. They know the hadiths and all of that. But look what happened to them today. Now these brothers have changed their whole ideology, their whole way of thinking. And what caused it? They started hanging out with innovators. You can't mix with these people, guys. You can't mix with people whose belief system is not like yours. Because what's going to happen is you're going to assimilate. You're going to become like them. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in numerous hadiths to be careful who we surround ourselves with. And I've watched many of these brothers fall because they started hanging with Sufis and they started hanging with, you know, different other types of groups. And I remember a couple of these brothers used to teach on my website back in the early 90s and the late 90s and 2000s. And I remember I asked them, I said, why are you hanging out at that conference? They started going to these ISLAMIC conference and all this stuff where all these innovative men were who were famous. Oh, Sister Layla, somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to go to teach the truth. And I remember I said, but you shouldn't sit in the company of these people. Okay, but these brothers went, and now look at these brothers today. They're still with those known Sufis, and these brothers, their ideology has totally changed. So this is why Allah makes the rules. Allah says in the Quran, do not sit in the company of those who do evil. When they speak that which contradicts Islam, we're supposed to leave, not be a part of it. But these brothers went to those conferences. They participated in those conferences. They never correct those famous other speakers. But now look at these brothers. They're with them and all messed up in their ideology. Okay, so, we don't do that. And not only do we not sit in the company of innovators and stuff, but anyone else who does wrong, especially not the enemies of Allah and his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also during those early 2000s, that's when this interfaith, after 2011, 9/11, that interfaith rolls up here in America. You start hanging around with a bunch of ministers and priests who are enemies of Allah, arguing, debating. And look at us now. Look what's happened. Here it is, 2024. We have a lot of Muslim youth, especially in the South of America. I keep telling you, America is divided. The East Coast, that's where you find your extremists. The West Coast, that's where you find your Muslims that are divided. The South is where you find your sectarian Muslims. And that's where you find the Muslims who are walking around quoting the Bible. Astaghfirullah. Because of this after 9/11, that's what happened in the South here. I'm talking Texas. I'm talking Atlanta. I'm talking Mississippi. I'm talking Alabama. The Muslims started turning to the Bible, learning the Bible because of interfaith, when the Bible doesn't even exist. And now we got Muslim children, and that's going to be a topic of our Q&A one day. We got Muslim children who were born and raised Muslim. They don't even know the Tashahhud. They don't even know how to correctly pray, but they can quote the Bible to you because they say that they were brought up to give dawah to the kafirs and by learning the Bible and comparing it to the Quran. Nonsense. This is what happens when we step outside our lane. This is what happens when we associate with people whose belief system opposes ours. Associating with individuals or groups like that will lead you astray from the path of Islam. That's why we're supposed to stay away from that. Again, like I said, participating in conferences or events organized by individuals or groups who promote shirk, innovation, distorted teachings of Islam, we're not supposed to participate in that. I'll never forget, about 10 years ago, I was invited to speak at one of those conferences, ICNA or ISNA, one of them. And I said, oh, no way. First of all, I'm not going to get on stage in front of no bunch of men. That ain't happening. Oh, no. Homie, don't do that. I'm a woman. I lecture behind my hijab, and my hijab is my computer in my home. I'm not going out in public standing in a crowd of men. Well, the other sisters do it. Well, that's their problem. Number one. Number two, I'm sorry. Look at the people you have speaking. Those sisters ain't upon what I'm upon. I told them that. They're not upon what I'm upon. I'm Quran wa Sunnah. These women follow Sufism. I'm not going into being a part of that. I don't sit in that company. No. I did it one time, a long time ago. I'll never forget it. In Texas, I was invited to a conference. And I went. These sisters were not innovators. These sisters called themselves women of the Sunnah. But I'll never forget when they did their lectures. Instead of them lecturing based on Quran and Sunnah, they were reading from a book written by some famous scholar. I'll never forget, the topic was prayer, Muslim women in prayer. And they had this one sister do the fiqh of menses. I'll never forget, she's famous. Was a woman of the Sunnah, called herself Salafi. But all she did was read from Sheikh Albani's book on menses. And I shook my head. And a lot of the stuff wasn't true. So I pulled her to the side after the conference. I said, why did you read from Sheikh Albani's book? I say a woman's menses is not determined by the amount of days that she bleeds. I said a woman's menses is determined by the color of the blood. That's in Bukhari. That's a famous hadith. She said, well, I'm going to stick with Albani's book because that way if anybody want to argue with me, they can't because I got Albani. And that was the last time I've ever went to a conference. I said, that's it. I'm not going to be a guest speaker at any more conferences because I look crazy. I'm sitting there answering questions and lecturing what the prophet said. And these other sisters are reading from books written by men who are not here to defend themselves. So we have to be careful, guys, about those conferences. A lot of you go to these student association, these Muslim student association conferences. I've been invited to quite a few of them. You will never see me at none of them. Oh no, the women ain't even dressed properly. You don't even have a hijab on properly. Where's your jilbab? And again, you're standing up in the presence of men, speaking and moving and gyrating. Oh no, we don't do that. I sit at home behind my computer and all you see is head and shoulders. That's it. You won't see Layla standing up or anything else. My women part stay to me and any husband I may have. That's it. So again, guys, we have to be careful when we declare that our allegiance is to Allah and to his prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to this religion. We have to show that through our actions. We don't take part in anything that contradicts what Allah says. We don't participate in anything that contradicts what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Every Muslim claims to be upon the Sunnah, but the reality is only a few are. Okay? Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. Whoever opposes the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after guidance has been made clear to him and follows a way other than the way of the believers, we will give him what he has taken and drive him into hell, and evil it is as a destination. For the brother that was here the other day, who announced to us that his wife is a Christian, but she's a believer. I want you to ponder that. Okay? I want you to ponder your statement. Whoever opposes what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said after guidance has become clear to you and you follow other than the way of the believers, look what your punishment will be. And I've given you the dalil. I've given you the clear proof. We need to check ourselves, guys. We all claim to believe in Allah. We all claim to be Muslim, but how many of us are? Very few of us are. We just say it with the tongue. I was talking earlier. One of the sisters here asked me, how is it, Sister Layla, that we can show somebody a hadith and they still don't believe it because they don't believe in Allah? That's why there'll be more people in hell than paradise. As Muslims, we have to be cautious about the influence of the people we hang around with. We have to be cautious of the groups that we associate with. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, surround yourself with strong Muslims, not weak ones. You want to make sure that the people you surround yourself with will not lead you from the path of Islam. Okay? This is why we don't hang out with them. I mean, my brothers in Islam are my brothers in Islam. If you choose to follow a Sufism, that's your business, but I mean, you are my brother and sister in faith. I'll salam you. I'll help you if you need help or whatnot, but you ain't hanging out with me. Oh no, I ain't coming to your events. Oh no. You won't see lailanasheeba sitting up in there. Oh no, with the sisters who are Sufis. Oh no. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam provides an excellent example how we can be Muslim and still maintain good relations with non-Muslims and with each other. Okay? As long as we understand, but you see, it all boils down to knowing your religion. Most Muslims today don't know the lawful from the unlawful. Most Muslims today don't know the obligations of the prayer, the sunnahs of the prayer. So this is the problem. Those companions knew their religion. So they knew how to hold and fold. They knew how to get along with non-Muslims without compromising their Islamic identity. And they knew how to get along with each other without compromising their faith. We have to remember, guys, to associate with anyone who opposes Islam. This is a form of disloyalty that goes against Wal Bara. Okay, we are encouraged to maintain good relations with people, but again, use caution when it comes to hanging out with them. There's a lot of sisters out there, that I talk to who I know are of the Sufis, or there's a couple of sisters who are Shiites. I got a lot of friends in Dearborn, Michigan. You ain't gonna see me hanging out with them. No, they come on my website. They learn from me on this website, but you're not going to see me hanging out with them. There's different forms of Shiites too, okay? I'm talking about the ones that don't curse the companions. We have some here on our website. That begins with the B. I never get their name right, but they don't curse the companions or nothing. But still, we have to be very cautious, guys. Be very, very cautious. And I'm not trying to offend you, sisters. Y'all know that. Okay? So, by remaining steadfast in adhering to the principles of Islam, this is how we uphold our loyalty to Allah and to his Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's also how we fulfill our obligations as believers. Okay? Now, what about those who don't do this? Now, let's talk about this. Many Muslims are afraid to speak up or show support for those who have been accused of being extreme because they don't hang out with the innovators. That's happened to me. Y'all know that. Oh, Layla's a fanatic. She's an extremist. She all into that Salafism or whatever, she call herself into. She won't hang out with us, and then other people are sitting there afraid to speak up and show support. This fear comes from the negative consequences that are associated with being labeled an extremist. And it can also include discrimination and harassment. And that has happened. I remember when I went through the great fitna at my website from those MySpace sisters, who went to the mosques in Texas. slandering me and my character because I told them there won't be no Christians in paradise. And because I used the K word, the kafir word. They said, oh, she uses the kafir word. And she says that Allah, that hate is a part of faith. You know, there were a couple of sisters that did try to speak up in my defense. What ended up happening to them? They got kicked out their massages. They got kicked out. Okay. And after those two sisters got kicked out, that's when the rest of them said, well, we ain't going to defend her either. So all the slander just went on and on about Layla being a fanatic, an extremist. Don't stay away from her website. She's teaching hate. She's teaching this. She's a this, that, the other. So a lot of Muslims are afraid to speak out and defend those people who are accused of being extremists because we're teaching the truth. But this is wrong, guys. This is wrong. Failing to support those who do adhere to the principles of allegiance and disassociation. This is a form of negligence. Negligence in upholding our belief system. So we should never allow our fear of what other people will say or do to us to stop us from speaking out for what is right and speaking against what is wrong. And I remember when that stuff happened here at my website, those two sisters were the only ones. The rest of those messages in Texas, I was just shocked. I'm like, you know, these women are running to these brothers, these imams, and the imams were believing the women. The imams were believing the women. That's when they didn't know what I looked like. And the imams were believing the women because of racism, because the imams didn't know what I looked like. They didn't know me. They thought I was an African-American woman who was a convert from Elijah Muhammad. And so they believed what these crazy Caucasian women were saying. And now, 20 years later, when I turn on my camera and they finally get to see who lailanasheeba is, wow. Now they want to come and teach on my website again. Nope, ain't happening. Keep on imagining me as being some African-American Elijah Muhammad convert, you know, with your racist behind. After y'all slandered my character and my website so badly down there. Oh, I got a lot of bitterness against those brothers down there in Texas. Okay? We're supposed to support each other though, guys. There were a lot of women that knew that the allegations made about me were not true, but they were afraid to speak up. They should have spoke up, but they didn't. Okay. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced a lot of opposition. He faced a lot of persecution, but he remained steadfast in upholding the principles of Islam. And that's how he should be our example. And remember, Allah tells us in the Quran that we are a justly balanced nation. What does that mean? We don't just speak up, even if it's against ourselves, but also we speak up in defense of anyone who is unjustly accused of something. And as Muslims, we're supposed to show solidarity with each other. But sadly, this is the year 2024. 10 years ago is when that stuff happened with me, but subhanallah, it's still happening today with others. We still don't support each other. We still don't speak out and defend each other when others attack us, you know, unjustly. Why? Because it's all about appearances. We don't want to lose our friends. We don't want the people to look bad at us. And we wonder why Allah has sent this war here. So again, guys, as Muslims, everything with us is balanced. We have to apply the principles of Islam in a balanced way. And we have to be courageous in upholding them, even in the face of adversity. Again, remember, Allah tells us in the interpretation of the meaning, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good teaching, and argue with them in a way that is best. This is how we deal with the non-Muslims, but it's also how we deal with each other, okay? How we should deal with each other. If there is a disagreement, you know, we have to sit down and talk about it. Bring our evidence. That's one thing too that Muslims need to understand. We are a people of dalil. We are a people of evidence. If you're going to make accusations against your brother or sister in Islam, you have to have evidence. If you don't, then you need to keep your mouth shut. And when dealing with the non-Muslims, we speak about the religion in a nice way. But we don't sit around arguing, debating, tearing their so-called books apart like we see Muslims doing today with these dawah tables. The dawah tables in downtown in every city, and you're sitting there, the Kafirs walking by. Hey, you a Christian? Come here. Show me what your books say, and I'll show you how it's a lie. Yeah. This is not the way of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I want you guys to understand that true dawah is not from your tongue anyway. True dawah is from your behavior. The best way to share the true message of Islam with non-Muslims is through your actions, through your character, through your mannerisms. We have to remember that, not the tongue. A lot of us make ourselves look like terrorists and oppressors with our tongue. Okay? And again, guys, a lot of Muslims will come to me, especially the kids, and they'll say, Sister Layla, you know, conveying the truth is an obligation upon us all, but I don't know what to say. I don't know how to answer the questions. It's your attitude, your behavior, your actions. That's how you really share the message of Islam, guys. Neglecting to share the true message of Islam, you know, leads to misunderstandings. It leads to misconceptions about the religion. It leads to division and conflict. If you don't know the answer to a question, just tell the person, I don't know, and refer them to a masjid, or refer them, if it's another Muslim, refer them to a person of knowledge. You don't have to sit there and try to make up an answer, and you end up misguiding someone or misleading someone. Okay? Remember, behavior, that's the best dawah. Okay? So again, as Muslims, we don't compromise our principles for anyone or anything. Allegiance and disassociation, this is a part of our way of life. If there's some Muslim groups that are not practicing the religion as they should, who have innovated procedures and practices within this religion that were not sanctioned by Allah, then you have to avoid that, guys. You avoid that. You don't go to their conferences, because I'm going to tell you, look what happened to these famous men who did go to their conferences. Look at these famous men today. They're telling you that you can talk to the dead people. I can't get over that. How can you go from knowing about the Sunnah to saying that the dead can hear you when Allah clearly says that the dead cannot? That we can call upon the dead people as long as we know that we're talking to them and not Allah? Astaghfirullah. All right. So let's see how well you guys can do on this quiz I came up with today. Okay. First question. There's a conference being held in your city. Everyone is going. The lineup consists of very good, famous speakers. But one of them is known to advocate that we can call upon the dead for help. Because of this, and by the way, this is a true question that one of the sisters asked me. Because of this, your husband refuses to allow you to go. Is your husband correct in this? And this is based on a true story. The names have been changed, but the scenario is true. A conference is being held. A lot of good speakers are coming, but there's one speaker who is known, well known for saying that we can call upon the dead for help. So your husband tells you that you can't go. He don't want you going. And you tell him, but the other speakers are good. He says you can't go. Is he correct in stopping you? Yes or no? Who's going to answer that?
Yes.
Can you explain why?
Because one apple can spoil a whole barrel. But because it's
That's good.
Even though the rest of them are on the right path or saying the good stuff, this one person right here can take you out your deen because you could just disbelieve him and just go astray from what is really the truth.
Exactly. And I want y'all to remember, and this is what I told that sister, your husband told you right. Because like the prophet said, there are some people who can speak with magic. There's some type of speech that's like magic. A lot of these brothers and sisters are such good speakers. They use big words. They have beautiful accents. And they can sit there and tell you to call on Jesus Christ Superstar. And you'll fall for it. So like she said, one bad apple, that one bad apple, he can spoil the whole thing. You can go to that conference and end up attaching, because your personal jinn is going to make you attach anyway to that one innovator speaker. And you will walk away messed up. You know, Allah tells us in the Quran, stay away from whatever can lead to sin. So why would you want to go to that conference? I don't care who's there. That one bad speaker, that's it. Don't put yourself in a situation that can invite you to sin. Subhanallah. Good answer, Amina. Anybody else? Do y'all agree with her answer? Anybody
Yes.
got a problem with that? Be careful of those conferences, guys. I mean, I get this all the time. People come to me, Sister Layla, why don't you come to this conference? No, I can't go to that conference. I went to that one conference with a bunch of so-called Salafi women, and look what they did. And I had to go behind them and correct them. And when I corrected them, everybody turned on me. Because I can't sit there and not say the truth. When she got through reading from her Sheikh Albani book on menses, I had to stand up and tell her that's wrong. And everybody said, Layla's crazy. Even though I gave them the hadith from Bukhari. I gave them the hadith from the Prophet saying that the menses is not determined by the amount of days. They didn't accept it. They didn't accept the hadith. Even though it was a Bukhari hadith, they told me that I was crazy. I ain't never doing that again. And those sisters claim to be Salafi. No, I don't do lectures like that. If I do any conferences, it'll be my own conference from Sunnahfollowers. Subhanallah. Okay, what about this, guys? And I put this one here. Look at this question here. This is true life. A sister brought this to me last week. What about this? A sister wants to wear a niqab. That means cover her face. but she is afraid that if she covers her face, she'll be labeled an extremist. What would you say to her? And she said she's afraid that the Muslims in her community will label her as a fanatical extremist because she just wants to cover her face. She knows it, that covering the face is not an obligation. It's just that she's comfortable with that. She's from Saudi Arabia. She's used to covering her face. What would you say to her? Anybody?
I would say stand on your...
Yeah, go ahead.
Me or the other person? Somebody else came in to...
If somebody else, like... whoever that is, go first. Then our friends will go after you. Go ahead. Hello? Lord. Go ahead, friends. Nobody got time.
I would say stand on your beliefs. As long as she knows that the niqab is not obligatory for that we don't have to do that, but if she chooses to do that, be strong in her beliefs and go ahead and do it, and don't worry about what somebody else is thinking of her. She just got to have some courage.
Okay, what if she did believe that it's obligatory? Remember, there are a lot of women who believe that a woman has to cover her face.
But you said she didn't.
No, I'm just saying, but that's answered that way
but
too.
If she does, it's not correct. We don't have to cover our pants.
Okay.
It's the only thing
wait a minute. Is the question about what you think is lawful or unlawful? Look at the question. That's why I'm asking it this way. A sister wants to wear niqab, but she is afraid of being labeled an extremist. What would you say to her? That's the question. Whether she believes it's lawful or not. What would you say to a sister who wants to wear niqab, but she's afraid?
A niqab is not necessary. I mean, we don't have to wear
so you would call her an extremist. You're one of the people that would label her
I would not call her an extremist.
Who cares about you? So if she wanted to wear niqab, you just gonna say the heck with her because you think it ain't obligatory. Is that how we handle it?
I would say I know that it's not obligatory, and but she's scared to be labeled as an extremist. Well, hell, if you're scared, don't do it. But if you do it, sister, it's not, you don't have to wear it.
Is it your responsibility to tell her what you think she has to do?
Allah said in the Quran that we don't have to cover our face.
You done turned it into a debate on the face.
Well, you said the niqab,
but y'all see what happened? That's why I put that question there. And this is why the sister is afraid to wear niqab. I'm glad you did this, friends. No, wait, how do I put the thing down? We own it. I like that. Wait a minute. Hold on, guys. I'm coming. I got to put it down. I got y'all. Y'all got to see my face.
Can I add to that?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me put the screen down for a minute. How do I work it, y'all? Y'all know I done forgot. I done forgot how to do it. Hold on. Here I come. Now, this is why the sister is afraid to wear niqab. Because she's afraid that some knucklehead like Amina Fresno is going to jump up in her face telling her what she thinks she don't have to do. That ain't the question. The question is not, do I believe it's obligatory? The question is, the sister wants to wear niqab, but she's afraid that the people like Fresno, it will think she's an extreme and jump up in her face telling her what they think Allah says. what would you say to her? That's the question.
I would tell her that the people are going to judge on her actions, her character, and her behavior on what to determine that she's a terrorist. So if she wants to wear the niqab, then wear the niqab.
So would you mention anything to her about whether you think it's an obligation or not?
No, I would advise her.
Would you think it's even important to even go into that with her?
I wouldn't go into it with her.
Just answer the question. Do you think it's even worth mentioning?
No, I would tell her
that's the reality,
she should go
guys.
off of her actions and her character to determine of her behavior if she's a terrorist or not.
Exactly. All that other stuff about whether you think it's an obligation ain't nobody's business and ain't got nothing to do with anything. The question is, what would you say to a sister who wants to cover her face, but she's afraid that the people will view her as an extremist? And mashallah, Mina said, I would just tell her, don't worry about what they say. Do what you want to do and know that your actions are what make you. Forget the people. Good answer. Anybody else?
I would say do what's right, what feels right to you, and fear Allah more than you would feel the people around you.
Exactly. As Jamila said, continue to practice your beliefs the way you feel comfortable and stand firm in them. And don't worry about what others say. And that's the same thing I told this sister. Whether or not it's an obligation, who cares? In her mind, it is. And if she thinks it's an obligation, more power to her. That's between her and her Lord. There's nothing wrong with covering her face if that's what she wants to do. Just like there's nothing wrong with me not covering mine if that's what I want to do. It's not worth arguing about. Just tell her, I support you. Let her know that you support her. And that's it. Everybody understand that? You understand? Amina Fresno? Amina, you understand what I'm saying? We ain't got to go into whether it's lawful or not. It's just, sister, do you.
What I heard you say was I added too many words.
There you go. That's what
I'm trying.
That's what I'm trying to teach y'all. Exactly, Fresno. I want y'all to learn how to deal with your sisters in Islam without adding all that stuff that can cause us to be divided. I got an example. My sister-in-law wears niqab. We don't never talk about that. When I see her, I hug her and kiss her and we sit there and talk. I could care less about her wearing a niqab. I know it's her culture too, because she's from Saudi Arabia. I don't care. If she wants to wear niqab, I support her. If she don't want to wear niqab, I support her. Whether or not she believes it's an obligation, I don't even know. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know if she believes it's an obligation or not. And I don't care because it's not important. She can do what pleases you. Long as it ain't contradicting anything Allah says. Nowhere does Allah say that a woman cannot wear niqab. And nowhere does Allah say that a woman has to either. So what the things that Allah does not mention are good and clean. Y'all get it? And that's what I'm trying to teach y'all. Keep all that judgment and all that opinion and all that bicker out. Just say, sister, I got you. I got you, sister. Everybody understand? Yeah. All right, let's look at the next question. Good job. I like how y'all did that. Fresno. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to the question. Let's see. Yeah, it's good and clean. Allah didn't say that you have to, and Allah didn't say that you can't. So that's up to her. Some people wear niqab. Alhamdulillah. Some people don't. Alhamdulillah. I got your back. Okay, what about this question, guys? Last one. So, how would you show support to the sister who wants to wear niqab? The sister wants to wear niqab. How are you going to show support? How would you support her? Muslims? Fresno? How would
By
you?
defending her if someone talks about her, for one. That's showing support and solidarity. And then also, well, I'll let somebody else do it.
Good job. You know, y'all heard her answer. Great answer, Mina. How would she support her? She would defend her. If anybody does make comments about her and her niqab, I'm going to jump to her defense. How else would you show support to her?
To add, I would also include her in activities at the masjid or with sister groups. I wouldn't leave her out just because that's what she chooses. She's still Muslim.
Exactly. I would include her to all events to let her know that we all the same. How else? Pamela said she would also encourage her. She'd give her encouragement to wear it. Good job. How else? Any other answer?
With Pamela being encouraging her, you would buy her one and tell her, hey, this is something I want to give you.
Give her a gift. MashaAllah. Buy her niqabs and give her gifts. SubhanAllah. MashaAllah. Any other answers? Treat her as like you treat anyone else that's Muslim. Exactly. And that's where we sisters got to do. We got to stop this separation. You know, isolating ourselves, thinking that, you know, because I wear niqab, I'm better than you. Or because you wear niqab, you're less than me. We're sisters in Islam. You know, we don't sit there and look down on each other for something as petty and stupid as a niqab. That's just stupid. You know, we're sisters in faith. You know, unless I give you reason to question me by not fulfilling my obligations. You see me with a cigarette in my hand, that's something different. You see me drinking wine, that's something different. You see me fornicating, having sex out of wedlock, that's something different. But because a sister wants to wear a niqab, y'all better support her. Y'all have to support each other. This is a sister here that's in our website. She just likes niqab. She's from Saudi Arabia, she said. She's always worn niqab. But ever since she's married and come to America, she's afraid. And like I told her, what are you afraid of? Put your niqab on. My sister-in-law wears hers. She's from Saudi Arabia too. You know, what you mean? There's a lot of Muslims where I live in Cleveland. We got a lot of niqabi women here. SubhanAllah, a lot of Arabic women here from Saudi. They still wear their cultural dress. Okay? So if you want to wear your niqab, you don't care what nobody think. If they're that ignorant to think you a terrorist, look at me. I don't wear niqab at all. They think I'm a terrorist too. So what? We can just be two terrorists together. You know, people are ignorant. Do you? As long as you're not transgressing the limits of Allah, do you? Everybody understand that? Okay, mashallah. Sister here said thank you. She said thank you for y'all's, everybody here, thank y'all for y'all's support. Now, I don't know how that's going to help you in Louisville. She's in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, she's in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, well, still, do you? All right, any questions or comments?